right, it's another edition of Burgers and Bourbon. Chris, Aaron, I'm Brian. So last week...
You said it right that time.
I did. Well, I got it right. I know I screwed up the last one, so I can make fun of me or send me a message, whatever. Anyway, all right, so this week's bourbon. We told you about it last week. Go check out last week's burger. We did Burger Girl, which is a complete dive. It's in St. Matthews. Excellent burger.
It was a good burger, yeah.
Yeah, it was a 7, a couple 8, so very good burger. Don't go there to watch the UK game or the U of L game, because that's not what that place is all about. Now, we're on to this week, which is more important. This is about bourbon. So we got a really cool bourbon for you this week. And you guys can probably see in the video, in the shot that we've got, we told you all last week we were going to do this. So Chris decorates bottles one particular way. He's going to tell you that story in a little bit. And I do mine a different way, so I'll tell you that just after he gets finished, because his are actually cooler. But anyway, so before we get started, you guys know how this works. We're going to taste the bourbon. First of all, we kind of smell it to see how it smells. And if you guys know it's a little bit different than what we've been doing, we actually poured before because
we didn't want to accidentally spill this.
Well, because last week last bourbon we did, I gave everybody like 5 shots. And I kind of dribbled it all over the table. And I was joking with Aaron, and I said, when I pour out bourbon, it's too much, and I dribble all over the floor, kind of like how I go to the bathroom. So it's kind of. So I was like, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to make sure we do it beforehand.
This just went down.
I'm totally kidding. But go to the men's restroom. That's how guys go to the bathroom. Go into any bathroom. Anyway, all right. So enough of
Getting
that.
dark in here, man.
I know. All right. So let's take a look at what this week is, and I'm gonna let Chris tell you the story behind it. But there it is. It's really cool bottle. Very plain and simple, right?
Yeah, and
so tell the
interesting.
story.
The reason that we wanted to try this one is because we have a close personal friend of somebody who is affiliated with our firm actually runs this. And he was in the office the other day, and the conversation came up, and we said we need to try it. And I think it's kind of cool. I mean, Kentucky par makes me think golf when I hear the word par, right?
Yeah.
But it actually, and I would encourage you to go on their website. It's KentuckyPar.com. Pretty straightforward. Yep. They've got the story on there about how this started. And it actually started out as Kentucky Parfait. And back in the Prohibition type of era, people would go in and they'd say, I want a Kentucky Parfait, which was a soft drink which means you were going to amp it up a little bit, and that eventually morphed after Prohibition into the bourbon now. So it's a neat story. I would encourage you to go on there and read that.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. I mean, it's a 12-year-old. So give everybody a perspective of price. So typically, what we're trying all kinds of stuff. So you guys remember a couple of weeks ago we tried a Three Keys distillery, and it was a 2-year-old. Remember that? It was like
2.5 years
super
old,
strong, and we're like, oh my god, this is gonna be terrible. And lo and behold, it wound up being really good.
Wasn't bad.
We were good. We've done basic 4-year-old stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This is actually a 12-year-old.
Right.
And
it's a different price point than the other ones that we've worked with.
So talk about the price point, but then also talk about the difference of why you would keep bourbon in a barrel for 2.5 years versus 4 versus 12. What's all that?
Well,
about?
the whole point is that as the weather gets colder in the winter and warmer in the summer, which is what makes bourbon a lot different from Scotch right there, is that it's pressing into the wood of the barrel and being pulled back out. And it's picking up all those flavors from the wood. So the longer that you age it, the more of that it's going to pick up. But the price typically goes up as you age it longer, because the longer it's in that barrel, the more of it evaporates. So there's just not as much bourbon left over. They call that the angel share.
Well, they also keep it stored, and they have
to
storage
store it
price,
for a longer period of time. That's exactly right.
So more expensive.
That's the reason that older bourbons tend to be a lot more expensive. And the ones that we've worked with, or that we've done so far on the show, $35 to about $60, somewhere in that range. We did do Peerless. Peerless runs a little bit above that. Yep. This one is in a different price point. This one's about $120 a bottle.
We'd say this is more of a premium type bourbon.
Yeah, this is a premium.
Super premium.
This is super premium.
Yeah, super premium.
I'd put that up there.
Yeah, the one cool thing about this is just reading the back of the bottle. Every bourbon tells some kind of story on the label. But it said it was started by Beth Thomas Radford and C.S. Radford Sr. It doesn't say what C.S. stands for. But it was funny. It started in 1933, and they called themselves Ganny and Big Daddy. That's hilarious. So Big Daddy started this whole thing. So anyway, it's kind of cool.
And this is right here in Louisville.
It's actually bottled in Crestwood.
Crestwood?
Okay. Yeah, out where I'm from.
How hard is it to get a bottle of of this? Can you just walk into a liquor store? Or is
I
it,
suspect
Yeah.
that anything you get this old tends to be a little bit more limited.
Right.
Your bigger stores that have a lot of buying power, they might have it.
Right.
Whereas your little mom and pops, maybe not. I mean, there's a couple of them that I know here in town that they buy bulk in the cheap stuff so that they get access to this.
Yeah.
So kind of hit and miss.
Right.
Unfortunately, maybe that'll change in the future. But
Yeah, you're probably. I go to.
where did we find this? Was Mr. Producer? Did we get this at Total Wine and Spirits? Total
Yeah,
Wine and
Total
Spirits.
Wine, yeah.
St. Matthews or Paddock's? Was it St. Matthews?
You,
Okay,
you can
all right.
actually speak up.
You can speak,
yeah,
you're
you
loud.
speak. They won't be able to hear you.
St. Matt. There it is.
And by the way, if just as full disclosure, if you see the screens that are popping back and forth and you can't really understand why, it's because
The producer is already sampling.
And has been the whole time. I looked over there a minute ago and he was, full throttle on that cup. So it was pretty funny. I wish we'd have had a camera and could switch back and see him.
Now, we need to disclose this because there's actually quite a bit from the bottle already missing.
Yeah.
And we don't want to put it all on the producer back
True.
there. Full disclosure, this bottle did show up here previous to today.
Right.
And some of us could not wait, so we have already partaken to find out
Yeah.
what Kentucky Par tastes like. So,
Several people.
yeah, there were several of us.
Not just one. All right, so here's how we're going to do this. We're going to taste it. First of all, smell it, taste it, do whatever you normally do. We always tell how we like to drink bourbon, so just in case you're the first time watching this thing. So we'll just kind of go down the line, smell it, taste it, do whatever you want to do, and then we're going to rate it. So it's 1 through 10, and we'll kind of give you what we think. So I'll tell you right off the bat, this thing has almost have a sweet smell. to it.
Absolutely, it's
It
sweet.
has
Yeah.
a
The
very
nose is
good
very sweet.
Yeah, but it's very good. This is one you could
Yeah.
take a big whiff of it and it's not going to burn your
Very
nostrils.
pleasant.
So yeah, it's very, very nice. And a sweet taste to it. And a sweet taste. Now, you guys know if you've watched it before. If you haven't, I like my bourbon neat, so just pour it out in a glass and taste it. If how I like to rate them is if I pour it out and I can drink it neat, that gets a higher score. If I have to cut it with a piece of ice, which some I do, it's going to get a little bit lower score for me. We've been yakking this whole time.
Right.
Aaron's like, dude, am I ever going to get a chance to speak?
I'm going to let you guys go, man. I mean, you a lot of information.
Just
there
let 'em go.
that you had. So I typically do drink mine with a couple pieces of ice in there because I don't necessarily like warm drinks.
Right.
Yeah.
I do, obviously, when we're doing tastings or want to get the feel for the bourbon, I'll drink it without just neat. But again, that's, I think, again, it's a sweet taste, good
Yeah.
smell.
I pick up a lot of honey.
Yeah, a little bit bite at the end, not
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah, I
but
would
but
agree.
a little bit rougher at the end. But the beginning, very sweet taste. So yeah.
Yeah.
This is, see, to me, and we were talking about this last night when we were trying it out, there's a lot of honey on the front end. There's a burn to the back. And I caught that burn pretty much all around the tongue, but it was a good burn. It wasn't that, oh
Right.
my gosh, this is horrible.
Right.
It really was like, yeah, I want more. And we were talking about how we like to drink it. As a general rule, I like to put a cube of ice in mine. I don't want to do that with this. I'm going to just so that, we
Yeah.
can try it. I really
Yeah.
don't want to. This is so good as it is.
Yep.
I really don't want to put that ice in there, so I'm going to drink it down a little bit
Yeah.
before I try it that way.
No, I get it. Yeah, so this is what we consider a super premium whiskey. It's going to be up there, and more than likely when you walk in somewhere, if you're looking for this, go look for the ones that are behind the glass case. That's typically
Yeah.
where I see the kind of the more super premium
Yeah.
bourbons or whiskeys. So, but it's very, very good. So highly recommended. Give your score. Who wants to go first? Aaron, what you got?
I'll go
Go ahead.
first. I'm going to give it around a 7.5.
Okay.
On a scale of 1 to 10, so 7.5. Like I said, good solid bourbon. Tastes good. If you like, especially if you like sweet.
Yeah.
It tastes good. So 7.5.
Yeah, I'm gonna do. I'll do 7.5 too. I think it's very good. We've had a couple others that I thought were a little bit better, and just at a lower price point. But this is very good. This is, to me, the type bourbon that if I'm having a cocktail party and I want a little bit higher end, I would do this. right? If I have a cocktail party and I'm trying to not impress people, but you know what I mean, just like a nicer cocktail party, I'd have that as an option.
If you want to have bourbons that you're not cutting.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. People don't have to cut.
Yeah, or if this is not my everyday.
Right.
I'm not going to spend 130 bucks.
120 bucks,
as an
yeah.
everyday.
Right.
But it's very good.
Okay, first of all, I've now put some ice in it. I've tried it with that. All the flavors are identical. The burn is there. The honey flavor is there. It's just a little bit milder than what it was. I prefer this neat.
Cool.
And I was pretty sure I was going to say that when I tried that, but I'm going to go way up there on this one. This is probably a 9 in my book. This is a fantastic bourbon. That this is one of those that you look forward to the party where you're willing to drop this kind of money.
Yeah.
Because you're just really going to enjoy this, and everybody who is a bourbon person is going to try this and they're going to like it. I'm thoroughly impressed.
I 100% agree with that. If you're a bourbon person, you'd like it.
This is
All
good
right.
stuff.
So transitioning. So we have mentioned over the last couple of weeks that we were going to show you just some ideas around decorating bourbon and whiskey bottles. So I'll go first. This is what I do, just because it's not as cool as Chris's. But so we have the exact same bottle here, so you'll get a pretty good comparison. But typically, what I do is, if our producer, he's had that bottle about halfway back in the middle of a sip.
I was going to say he was in the sip.
He was. All right. So this is what I do. You guys can see I have the wood golf tees in there. Sort of my perspective on that was that I would put the natural wood golf tees in there. One, because I play golf. I love playing golf. But the reason I did that is because I wanted to look like it had bourbon in there or has bourbon in it. That was kind of my deal. But yeah, so it's just kind of different. But that's how I decorate my bottle. Yeah, it's super simple.
Yeah.
I will tell you, it's harder and harder to find natural wood golf tees because most of them are colored and sized and plastic and everything else. So I've got a lot of bags at home that I had to buy them just because they were getting harder to find. Yeah.
So, okay, so same bottle, and just you'll notice that since we're both using the same bottle, slide that up there onto that spot. The Isaac Bowman Port here is one that we're going to be doing on the show eventually. That is a huge favorite of everybody here in the office. So the way that that's the reason that both of us have got this one. This actually was an idea from a client. We were invited to go over to his house and just saw a couple of these sitting around the house, and he's got a nice bourbon collection. It's like, oh, that's neat. What is that? And he explained. So all it is, the oil that's in here, this is not water because that would cause anything to put in there to degrade. This is simply lamp oil. I experimented with a few different things. But you just need an inert oil so that anything you put in there doesn't degrade. That's real wheat that's in there. You want to go ahead and throw that other one over there.
It's just a cool bottle.
Yeah, well, it actually has caused something else. Okay, so you put the oil and you put some decorative stuff in there and real wheat and stuff, and it gives me something to do to keep me busy, usually in cold weather months where I'm sitting there, watching TV. I'm kind of bored anyway, and I just set up a table and work with this stuff. It has caused me to try some bourbons that I wouldn't have otherwise. This Wolcott, for example, this had some nice ratings up at the store when I went up there and picked that up. But I bought the bottle of bourbon because I knew I wanted to make something decorative out of it. And you figure it's like 25 bucks. So, okay, that's not bad. That's a fairly inexpensive bourbon. And I found out, hey, it's actually pretty good for the money. It's fantastic. And I've got several bottles that I bought the bottle because of that, and ended up finding stuff that I really like. So I just keep these around the house. I give them away as gifts to friends and family. That what else are you going to give them? They have everything that they want,
right?
So these make great gifts, and that's how I got started.
Yeah, cool. So here's the thing: if you take old whiskey bottles, bourbon bottles, whatever you want to call it. If you do something really cool with them, take a picture and shoot it to us.
Absolutely.
It would be really cool to see how people actually decorate bottles. So it's better than just tossing them because there are some whiskey bottles that have some really whiskeys that have some really cool bottles.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get that out. Maybe I've had too much of this already. Anyway. Oh, and by the way, if you want to ask Chris what kind of oil this is, call him up and ask him. It may take him a while. He may kind of beat around the bush. Well, it's the oil you put. It's that oil you put in lamps. I can't remember the name. Oh, that's right. It's lamp oil.
Yeah, lamp oil.
All right. Any thoughts from Aaron? I know we've been dominating the conversation again. Eric's
No,
like, dude,
great.
I'm not getting it. I'm not getting
Thought the
opportunity to
bourbon
talk.
was good. I don't decorate them, so I didn't have much to, put out
No
there. I think
input.
it's cool that you guys do that. They
Yep.
look.
Well, I don't do it with every bottle,
Right.
but just the cool ones that I haven't tried before, I'll do.
Yeah,
it.
it's a good idea.
And actually, there's a few bottles that are so full in the front with like lettering or labeling.
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
that it really doesn't make sense to do it.
Exactly.
So,
A lot of them, there's some fantastic bourbons, but it's a big label, and I wouldn't do that. So, like the Kentucky Par here, that's
It's
kind of
questionable.
iffy on decoration
Yeah, it
because
is.
it's a big label.
Yeah.
By the way, while I was thinking about, I don't think we mentioned. We said this was a 12-year, but it's also 100 proof. So for those people who are wondering about it, it's,
that's
it's
right,
a
we forgot to
100
say
proof
that, yeah,
bourbon.
All right, cool. So there it is. That's Kentucky Par. This is another edition of Burgers and Bourbon. We'll be back next week to do another burger. And by the way, the burger that we did last week was a Burger Girl in St. Matthews. So make sure you check that out. We've got, I don't know, we've posted like 7 or 8 of these now. So just make sure you go back and check them out. We post them every other week or every week, but it's a bourbon every other week and a burger every other week. That's kind of how we do it. So anyway, that's another week for the edition of Burgers and Bourbon. And here's to a great week. See you guys later.